Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's good to be together here to conclude the week with everyone who's joined us in person and online. In the service that we're entering right now, it's the service of Kabbalat Shabbat, the service of receiving the Sabbath. We look forward so much to welcoming it back each week. The Kabbalists of Sfat used to run out into the fields to welcome the Sabbath. And as we declare the dear one of our souls, we think of our hearts leaping like deers, Kimo Ayel, as we greet the Shabbat ourselves. Page 10 in our prayer books, Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Meshocha B'cha, Eretz Onecha, Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Meshocha B'cha, Eretz Onecha, Meshocha B'cha, Eretz Onecha, Yarutz Abdecha, Kemo Ayah, Yishtachaveh, El Muhadarecha, Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman, Meshocha B'cha, Eretz Onecha, Meshocha B'cha, Eretz Onecha. As we welcome the Sabbath, as we receive it, we welcome its sweetness, its joy, its light. We welcome our friends Roger and Deb to help us with kindling our Ner Shel Shabbat, the Shabbat candles, as we rise, page 2 in our prayer books.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner, Shel Shabbat.
And we wish you continuing strength at the end of the service. Yeah. Or we can go for it.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
L'chaim. Wish you some strength and some sweetness as we continue greeting each other. You may be seated. We say Shalom Aleichem, peace to each other, as we welcome a day of peace, a day of rest, our Shabbat. Page 13. Is that right? That's not right.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei
24.
Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zeitchem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Continue welcoming the Sabbath bride, Lecha Dodi, page 20.
Lechan dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'litzmilah. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi ori, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Rise and turn to face the doors.
Lo'i v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'tzofana, toch emunei am segula. Bo'hi chala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
You may be seated, page 26, the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal veyitkadash shmei Rabba, ve'alma divrach yirutei, ve'yanich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala, uvizman kariv, ve'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam olamei almaya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnasei, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha berichu, le'ela min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma, ve'yimru amen.
We rise rise for the call to worship the Baruch Hu, page 28.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai lai lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, literally the one with whose words you cause the evening to pass. You skillfully open the gates and thoughtfully alter the time and change the seasons. You arrange the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 32.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Aken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu, U'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, Be'orech yameinu, Uvahem nege yomam v'layla, Nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, Mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Emet. Page 39, we continue at the top together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching joyously.
Page 40. Mi chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, lo ratehilo, o sefele, mi chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh.
For all those hoping for a little bit of serenity, the next prayer is there to ask for us to be comforted and sheltered and protected in the evening. The Hashkivenu, page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeitenu
bless the one who spreads God's shelter of peace over us, over all we love. And in a moment, we'll be beginning the tefillah, the core prayer of the evening service. It begins in our prayer books on page 46, and we'll pray together through page 52, after which we complete the prayer however we decide, using the words of the book or the words of our own heart. In the book, it goes to page 63, but whenever you feel ready, you can have a seat and just continue quietly on your own. Right now, though, page 46, we rise, Adonai Sephatai.
Adonai, Adonai Sephatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagitei Latecha. Adonai, Sephatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagitei Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, Sephatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagitei Latecha. Adonai, Sephatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagitei Latecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, U'mebi Geulah Livnei B'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Abraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Bechayei hakol atah Rab le'hoshia. Mahashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofech cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melech, Melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
our thoughts to all of those people who are in our circles of concern, members of our families, our friends, our neighbors, maybe our colleagues that we work with who are in need of healing. We think of them now, we draw them into our hearts as we create together a prayer that we hope will bring that healing that is so much needed to our world. We as a congregation share our thoughts for healing for Yasmin Aftab, for Carol DeVore, for Roberta Feinstein, for David Gold, for Davis Gloff, for Zach Hines, for Richard Hightow, for Lindsay Katz and Samantha Katz, Sally Keaton, Joe Lewis, Pat Mack, Caleb Moses, Kenan Packman, for Tony Ricolta, George Ricolta, Meryl Rosenberg, Rita Schiller, Nancy Siegel, Alan Simons, Marshall Stern, and Lloyd Suter. If there are others, those joining us in person or thinking of as we prepare for our healing prayer, feel free to share their name at this time. For Rick Bloom. For all those mentioned and the many more that remain unmentioned, we pray for Refuah Shlema, complete healing, as we turn to page 253 for the Misha Berach. Decades ago, on the first day of my freshman college Hebrew class, I waited anxiously with the other students as the clock in the front of the room ticked away the minutes and our professor was yet to arrive. As the time neared 15 minutes after the start of the class, we began discussing at what point we get to get up and walk out and leave, when a man, very much resembling Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid, walked in wearing paint-stained overalls, complete with a worn carpenter's hammer hanging from his belt loop. I still remember like yesterday how he introduced himself. You can call me Ah, you can call me Seng, you can call me Chu. You may call me Ah Seng, you may call me Seng Chu, but never, ever, ever call me Ah Chu. As it turned out, Ah Seng Chu of Malaysia, may his memory be for a blessing, had won a scholarship when he was a youth to study ancient Near Eastern archaeology at Harvard University. He'd completed all of his coursework but his dissertation. After the Israeli graduate student who had been hired to teach our Hebrew 101 course at the last minute bailed, Ah-Seng Chu had offered to fill in. His instructions were, eclectic and captivating, and gave me a solid basis in modern Hebrew, as well as many life lessons. And as it turns out, he in fact doubled as a building super, and I found myself living in an apartment that he maintained through my sophomore and junior years. One of my favorite life lessons imparted by Ah-Seng Chu was on why the handyman is the happiest person in the world. He said in most jobs, you've got challenges, you've got problems. They can take some time to figure out, sometimes in some cases years, and sometimes they never are completely resolved. But as a handyman, you wake up and you have a project. And when the day is done, so is that project. So you can rest easy and sleep through the night. As a person who has worked hard to learn not to overthink things, I've always really appreciated this simple wisdom. That is simple to understand, but difficult to put into practice. It's so easy for us in our lives to get carried away with our egos. How many people do we know who are so full of themselves that they get carried away in the pursuit of whatever it is, of money, of power, or of fame, that obsess over the inane social one-upmanship of their own self-importance. Even for our ancestors, these hierarchies and tensions deprived religious officials of their presence, stopped the priest from being able to be his presence when they put themselves on a pedestal above others. Who would be the high priest? It was a competitive job. Who would get the honor of officiating in the temple? These were lusts for power that took down no less than the greats of the Maccabees from the Hanukkah story. And yet within our tradition, deep within our tradition, there's a lesson to never get tangled up in arguments over power, never to engage in arguments about who is right, but rather to make all our arguments about what is right. One really great way of staying focused on what is right is to always try our best to remain present, try our best to remain humble, to remind ourselves that we have on our metaphorical piece of paper in our pocket written the words, I am but efer va'afer, I am but dust and ashes. We learn this week in Torah that the very first thing that the priest is supposed to do every morning is to put on commoner's clothes, simple linen clothing, and to sweep out the ashes from the previous day's activities, the previous day's sacrifices, that is. Being a priest was a significant honor in the temple, but here, built into the daily ritual, is a practice meant to inculcate humility, to keep the priest grounded in the wisdom of the handyman, so to say. The great 19th century rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch writes, while the taking up of the ashes is meant to introduce the new day's service as directly linked to whatever had been accomplished on the preceding day, as a permanent reminder of those past accomplishments, the removal of the ashes from the camp conveys the thought that at the same time, the Jewish nation must begin its task anew each day. The start of every new day summons us to set out upon our task in full with renewed devotion, as if we had never accomplished anything before in our entire lives. The memory of yesterday's accomplishments must not detract from the energy with which we must do our duty today, here and now. Thoughts of what have already been accomplished can spell death to what has yet to be done. And Rabbi Hirsch continues, Woe to him who rests upon his laurels in smug complacency, who does not begin the work of each new day with new complete devotion, as if it were the very first day of his life's work. Thus, Rabbi Hirsch teaches that the priest begins every day fresh, neither relying on what he had accomplished on the previous day, nor being tied down by those commitments. And in the first act of cleaning out the ashes, in the feel of grime beneath one's fingernails, there's a primal joy that, although the work of Tikkun Olam will take years, and yet cannot come soon enough, one can be grounded in the work of the handyman, in those chores that can be accomplished. The philosopher Emmanuel Levinas writes of modern life, "We are for an open life, eager to try everything, to experience everything, in a hurry to live, impatient to feel. One must be rich and a spendthrift and multiple before being essential and one." As compared to this, the predictable regularity of religious life is quite boring. But when done with sincerity, it's not full of hubris. It's real. I don't mean in terms of living a life of so-called piety. I mean in the daily work of clearing out the old and making room for the new. I mean in accomplishing little projects day by day and not letting our achievements go to our heads. Instead, waking up to put on linen cloth and do it all over again. In this regularity, there comes a comfort. The joy of the handyman, if you will, or perhaps I'd like to imagine. The job that's now finished. And so too shall I wake up tomorrow ready to finish that task as well. May we in our work together bring joy, bring celebration, bring comfort to each other in all these moments. May this be God's will. Ken Yehi. And for that vision of calling out in one voice and in one name, it is incumbent upon us to give praise to the one who's the source of creation and life for all. We rise for Aleinu, page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gdula l'yoseh bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'kol ha'onam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei malach malchei halachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol ha'aretz, bayom hahu, yiyeh Adonai echad, u'shmo echad.
You may be seated once again as our thoughts now turn to all of those people who played roles in our life in moments of simcha and moments of sorrows, those who have been a blessing to us, to our people, and to all people. We recite this memorial prayer for them. We as a congregation are in a period of shloshim, following the recent passing of our member Sharon and Andy Spilkin and Julie and Bridget as well, their father and grandfather Peter Wolf. And Sharon, we wish you comfort and wholeness, that the memory of your father grow for you as a source of blessing and all good things in your life. We further acknowledge the period of Yahrzeit. The anniversary of the following individuals' deaths: Lena M. Abrams, Clara Foon, Louise Gutmann, Estelle Kaufman, Victor Kelmanson, Harriet Malter, Nancy Meyer, Eric Polk, Abraham Rothstein, Saul Salson, Libby Simons, Herbert Sott, Marion Ruth Stein, Jack Sweet, George Winger, Ronald Harlan Woollock, and Alice Zatz. If there are others, those with us this Shabbat are thinking of for Kaddish, please feel free to share their name at this time. Then, according to the custom in our congregation, we rise in support and solidarity of all those in mourning, all those observing yard sites, as we recite together the words of Kaddish, page 294.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon, U'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulomei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Amen.
You may be seated as we welcome our co-president, Alan Wormser, to share tonight's announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, everyone online as well. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a special Shabbat at the end of the month on March 25th at 6 p.m. Join us for a music Shabbat with the Detroit Klezmer Band, Gesundheits. Thank you. We loved them when they played for Simchat Torah at TKA a couple years ago. The band and Natalie Conrad will delve into the lively Shabbat music of the Hasidim. Sisterhood is having a pinch pot party on Sunday, March 27th. Where's Sue so I can ask her what pinch pot means? Oh, pinching clay. Thank you. Pinch pot party on Sunday, March 27th at 1 p.m. in the social hall. Create and design your own piece of pottery. The cost is $18 for Sisterhood members, and you can RSVP to Debbie LaCour. Join Brotherhood on Saturday, April 2nd at 5:30 p.m. at the Library Pub for group watching of the March Madness NCAA tournament. All men are welcome that wear maize and blue. Joking. RSVP to the office. Well, we'll see what happens at 9:50 tonight. On Wednesday, April 6th at 7 p.m., join Rabbi Gutmann for our new unique learning experience, Torah on Tap. Must be 21 and up to attend. RSVP to the office. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you to our ushers. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat. Gesundheit is going to be perfectly pronounced here by the time we get to next week. So we'll have a lot of fun as they come and join us with their music. Let's see here. Girls, we haven't done Hamotzi yet. Do you want to help us? We'll welcome the Gutmann girls to help us with Hamotzi.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Te'avon. Bon appetit. Our closing song tonight. Oh, excuse me, I skipped a beat here. Shkoach to you, madam. Beautiful service, and to Jordan, who operated our stream tonight, to everyone who joined us in person and online and made our minyan just so lovely. Oh, was that funny that you made our minyan lovely? It's a wonderful thing. And may she have strength in eating all of that challah before we leave the building. Just kidding. Ein Keloheinu, page 322.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mich Eloheinu, Mich Adonenu, Mich Emalkeinu, Mich Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.